My friend Howie Roseman just did something that's going to leave a lot of people absolutely speechless. And no, it wasn't a blockbuster trade for a quarterback or a massive contract to shore up the offensive line. It was something far quieter, far more patient, but something that could change the future of the Eagles for the next 10 years. He went fishing in the same lake he fished 8 years ago, and this time he came back with an athleticism that's going to make the fans at Lincoln Financial Field lose their minds. We're talking about a young man 6 feet 4 inches tall, 306 pounds, with just 6% body fat, who ran the 40-yard dash in 4.63 seconds. A genetic freak who was using tree trunks as training equipment in Africa not that long ago. That's right, tree trunks. And now he belongs to the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to tell you everything about this incredible move and why this might be the best long-term investment Roseman has made in the 2026 draft. But first, if you're a die-hard Eagles fan, hit that like button and subscribe right now. Because the story I'm about to tell you today is exactly the kind of thing that great teams do while everyone else is sleeping. Here's the deal. On day 3 of the 2026 draft, Howie Roseman made a decision that flew under the radar for a lot of people. The team had the number 197 overall pick in the 6th round, but instead of simply using that pick, Roseman worked a trade with the Los Angeles Rams. He gave up the 197 and got back the number 207 in the 6th round, plus 2 7th-round picks, number 251 and number 252. The Eagles already had the 244 in the 7th, so suddenly Roseman was sitting on 3 7th-round picks. And you know how Roseman looks at late picks, right? He treats every single one like a lottery ticket. You can't win if you don't play. And it was with pick number 251 that the Eagles selected Uar Bernard, a young Nigerian man who came through the International Pathway program. The same program that gave the Eagles a certain Jordan Mailata 8 years ago. Who is Uar Bernard? That's the name you need to lock in your memory, my friend. Bernard came from a small village in Nigeria and arrived at American football by a completely unconventional path. He was training for football in Africa using tree trunks as equipment and learning pass rush moves by watching videos on YouTube. That's right. No professional training facility, no specialized coaching, no structure that most athletes take for granted. Just work, will, and creativity. And even so, the numbers he put up at the HBCU Combine are absolutely jaw-dropping. Standing 6 feet 4 inches, weighing 306 pounds with just 6% body fat. Bernard set records at the Combine for players above 300 pounds. A 4.63 40-yard dash at that size is a number that simply doesn't exist. And the vertical jump, 39 inches. 39 inches. For quick reference, that's what you'd expect from a wide receiver, not a defensive tackle over 300 pounds. Those numbers scream a raw athleticism that can't be coached. You're born with that. But that's only part of the story. The real question becomes, how are the Eagles going to turn that raw athleticism into an NFL player? And this is where the comparison to Jordan Mailata starts to make all the sense in the world, even though the two of them play on completely opposite sides of the ball. Think about what Mailata did. 8 years ago, Roseman traded back into the 7th round and selected a rugby star who had never played a single down of American football in his life. People laughed. They said Roseman was wasting a pick. But what happened? Mailata needed a few seasons to develop, took over as the starting left tackle in 2020, and never looked back. Today, he's one of the best left tackles in the NFL. An All-Pro, a Super Bowl champion. The joke became a legend. Now Roseman is trying to repeat the formula, this time on the defensive side of the ball. And what makes Bernard even more fascinating is the environment, where he's going to develop. Think about it. This young man is going to train alongside Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, and Moro Ojomo. Do you know what those three represent? The most dominant interior defensive line in the NFL. Davis freshly extended, Carter as one of the most explosive tackles in the league, and Moro coming off a season with 6 sacks as a full-time starter. And you still have Byron Young and Ty Robinson, rounding out one of the deepest rotations in the league at that position. That means Bernard is going to learn by watching the best. Every single day at the Jefferson Health Training Complex, he'll be on the field alongside players who dominate the game at the highest level. That kind of daily exposure is worth more than any football clinic. That's how Mailata learned alongside Jason Peters and Lane Johnson. That's how Ojomo learned and transformed himself into an elite pass rusher out of the 7th round. And who is going to guide Bernard on this journey? Matt Leo. a former defensive end for the Eagles himself and a graduate of the International Pathway Program. Leo is now a player development assistant with the team, and there may be no one more qualified to understand exactly what Bernard is going through. When someone who walked the same hard road is the one guiding you, the learning curve accelerates in a significant way. Now think about the structure the program offers. Through the International Pathway Program, the Eagles receive an extra roster spot for Bernard, which means he won't be taking up a regular spot on the roster while he's in the learning phase. He can use the entire preseason and training camp to absorb as much as possible. If he doesn't make the 53, he's eligible for an extra practice squad spot. The 17th spot reserved specifically for international athletes. That's time. Valuable time for an athlete who is still learning the fundamentals of the game. What defensive coordinator Vic Fangio and defensive line coach Clint Hurt have already done with Davis and Carter proves this environment is tailor-made for development. They turned those two into absolute dominators. And what they did with Moro Ojomo, a 7th-round pick who became one of the best interior pass rushers in the league, is living proof that the Eagles know how to develop raw talent like no other team. There's one more point here worth highlighting according to the report. Bernard will train at both defensive tackle and on the edge. That's smart. You have an athlete who can create mismatches at multiple positions. A 306-pound man running a 4.6340 can be a nightmare for offensive lines if he's properly developed to play, both as a 3 technique and as an edge rusher in certain packages. Taking a step back and looking at the bigger picture, what Roseman is doing here is managing the future. The Eagles' interior defensive line today is incredible, but Carter and Ojomo are heading into critical contract years. The money it will take to re-sign those two is going to be enormous. And don't forget that Milton Williams walked out the door to sign a $104 million deal last offseason. The depth at this position is going to be tested in the years ahead. Bernard is a long-term bet, an athlete who could emerge 2 or 3 years from now, exactly when the team might need internal reinforcements. Mailata didn't become a starter until 2020. If Bernard follows a similar trajectory, we're talking about 2028 or 2029 as the possible window where he starts contributing at a real level. And who knows, with the raw athleticism he carries, maybe he surprises everyone before that. Let's be honest about the expectations, my friend. This is a lottery ticket. Roseman and the Eagles are the first to admit that. Most 7th-round picks never make a meaningful impact on the team. But when you're fishing for an athlete with numbers like these, that combination of size, speed, and vertical leap, you're playing with better odds than average. And when the program that discovered this athlete is the same one that gave you Jordan Mailata, one of the greatest hits in recent team history, you have to respect the process. Training camp and the preseason are going to be the first real measuring sticks. Watching Bernard go up against real competition will give the coaches a much clearer sense of his ceiling. Year 2 will reveal how much he absorbed. And year 3 might be the moment the Eagles find out whether they hit the lottery one more time. With all that raw athleticism to develop, with an elite defensive line to learn alongside, and with a development program that has already proven it works, do you think Howie Roseman is going to pull off the Mailata miracle again? This time on the defensive side. Can Uar Bernard become the next great name on the Eagles' defensive line? Drop your opinion in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe to the channel. I'll be back later to keep you updated with the latest Eagles news.